presentation skills aren't just about how you speak or how you've organized your thoughts or who you understand your audience to be. I know. Can you believe I said that? The reality is, most of us are going to also have to become our own AV techs. That would be audio visual. Because now a lot of us are speaking through that camera. It also means that we need to make sure that we have a good camera, that we have a good mic, and that there's a little bit of thought given into your lighting. So, a couple of things. One of the first things that you can do with absolutely no cost associated with it is make sure that your camera is angled right to catch you. Sounds simple, right? Let me show you how sometimes it's not that simple. This is kind of a common angle. I see it an awful lot. Then there's this one, because their monitor is actually over here that they're working with, but the camera's on their laptop, which is over there. Okay. Now, it's not a killer thing. It just makes it a little bit more difficult for your audience to connect with you, and that's what it's all about. Second, if you're going to get a microphone, get a good one. Yeah, I know. It's kind of big, isn't it? But the most important thing about the microphone is do a sound check. Now, as you're speaking, you may not need to listen to anything, but you might want to just keep your earphones in anyway. So, a couple of helpful hints. Put your earphones absolutely in your ears. But if it's a corded headset, you might want to actually string the cord through your back and hook it into your laptop, because then you don't have to worry about whether it's a distraction visually. Many of us use white or black headsets for our earphones, and so, gosh, half the time it's showing up really, really strongly, which is a tiny bit distracting. Not a lot, just a tiny bit. The problem is distractions or detractions mount up pretty quickly. And as a result, you want to see if you can cut down on the ones that are easy and cheap to cut down on. That one, that one's easy and cheap. The microphone, not always, but you can get a darn good one for under $100. And if you're going to be doing a lot of presentations, I really recommend it. In part because it allows you to step away enough from your monitor that you can see all the sections of the monitor and still be audible. And it will give you a whole lot better sound than the microphone in your headset, I promise you. Third, I got the loveliest compliment the other day. Somebody in the middle of a presentation wrote me and said, "Oh my God, there's almost no glare on your glasses. How do you do that?" Well, first of all, I got some really good advice from somebody, so I'm going to pass it along to you. First things first, the light, it should be up and in front of you, not over you and not behind you. Second, have lights that you can position off to each side and have the lights from them bouncing off of something like the ceiling, especially if you've got a white ceiling. It softens the light and makes it less likely to actually create a glare on your glasses. Okay. One other thing that I've noticed a lot of people have been advising, I haven't tried it yet, but that's because I'm afraid to mess with the lighting system that Ron, who is amazing, was good enough to teach me. But that is to actually have them low and looking up and behind you. I kinda like that. It's low and on either side, by the way. So, about yay high, literally yay high, and bouncing off behind you or angled that way so that it bounces off the ceiling or the wall behind you. Either way, as long as the light isn't coming directly at you, you're going to be able to create a lot fewer shadows and for those of us who wear these, a lot less glare. Okay. Now I know most of the time we suggest 3 things. Please make sure that you have water. Stay hydrated. This takes a lot more energy than it sometimes seems, and you do not want to suddenly lose your voice in the middle of a presentation when everything else is going well because you just need to hydrate. Oh, the special super secret part, the straw. And here's why. I like ice water. I really do. I know I've had at least one singing coach for everyone that tells me it doesn't matter what the temperature is of your water. I've had at least one or two say you've got to stop drinking ice water. You need to drink room temperature water. When I was singing, I listened. But now that I'm speaking, I have a tendency to go for ice cold water more often. But in large part because I'm just sipping it. It's all you need to do to make sure that you stay hydrated. 5, try standing. It changes the energy that you project. So, literally, try standing. Also, you've probably heard it, sitting is the new smoking. It's easier for you to maintain good posture, good shoulder orientation if you're standing. If you're sitting, it's a little too easy sometimes to droop a little. And when you droop a little, it does something amazingly bad for your diaphragm. It kind of collapses it, so it makes it a little tougher for you to breathe. When you can't breathe, you also can't project. It's not that you have to project way far away, but it does mean that when you can project, you can also support your voice and it sounds stronger. You sound more confident. And that helps the audience build a slightly stronger bond with you. And we're all for that. I'm KimiKSP. And because presenting nowadays takes more than just a really good outline, more than just an amazing audience analysis, it requires a little bit of technology. And most of us don't build studios in our homes. Some do. I've got one. But I also frequently are, well, maybe not too frequently. I also frequently film in other rooms of the house, and the same setup applies. The only difference is sometimes you get a little sunshine in the mix. So I tend to have chairs at angles and things like that. Natural light, by the way, is the best light. So if you can record, I almost said film. We don't film anymore. If you can record with sunlight coming into you, then all you have to do is check and make sure that you aren't getting glare on your glasses, if of course you wear glasses. And some of the ways to do that are to look for something called the angle of incident. It's the angle at which the light from in front of you is going to hit your glasses. Sunlight or artificial light. You're going to need to play around with it. Most laptops, whether it's a Mac or a Windows, have some sort of photo booth kind of thing or a camera where it can take a still shot of what it's seeing through that lens, I really advise you to do that. Now, because my office is in the basement that used to just be a video studio, it's okay when I do this. But if you're going to be using a room that other people need to use, it might not. Once you figure out what the best arrangement is for your light and you've double checked it by taking a still shot, I put down painter's tape to remind me of where to put things. The table that's holding up the laptop and the microphone has painter's tape on the floor indicating where the back two legs need to be. The lights I'm using on the sides also have painter's tape on the floor so that I remember not just where to position them, but also painter's tape on the lights themselves so I remember the angle that worked best last time. So, couple of things. One, get used to working with the camera and make sure that you are actually angled correctly. You should be able to look straight onto the camera. So if you have to, get a couple of books, raise it up. I'm only 5'2", so I don't usually have to have that problem. But make sure that you're giving your audience a good camera angle. 2, get a good mic and test it. 3, make sure that your lighting works. And if you do have to wear glasses, as I do, then make sure that you checked it and tested it by using the camera in your laptop. All of our videos are based on the premise that you get 3 workable things at a time. I'm going to leave those other things for later because those 3 things are the most important and it's going to take some time to implement them. You can always come back because we will have a presentation, technical suggestions, part 2. This video was brought to you by the Leadership Driven Project Management Academy. And if you have found anything to be valuable or helpful, please let us know by liking or subscribing. I don't know where those buttons are, but they're down there somewhere. Also, if you know somebody who's starting to get more comfortable with presenting over the camera, then they might be willing to start tackling refining a few of the technology tools that they use. Please feel free to forward this to them if you think it'll help them. Thanks for joining us.